It's only.
I feel like they.
Why you have to be mad?
Sorry, what was that?
Is he in Nashville? Am I close geographically?
They've
The
been cooking it
contracts.
up.
The contracts are coming in.
No one knows what he is. He's a big orange monster
What's
with
he?
googly eyes.
He's
and
a great-
Okay.
little.
The Florida lead.
What do you think of Owen's bracket? Do you remember it?
It's hopeful.
Welcome back to a very special episode of the Brett Loves Hockey podcast, episode 29. Today we've got my father, Steve.
Let's welcome
And-
Steve, everyone.
He is obviously also a Bruins fan. That's why I'm a Bruins fan. And probably one of the main reasons I got into it back in the day. I want to start off by asking you, what did you think of the game last night?
Oh, I thought it sucked.
It was terrible. Did you watch any of it, Brendan?
I watched a little bit of it. I didn't watch the whole game, but what I caught, I wasn't impressed by as far as the Bruins were concerned.
It was just like the bounces. We hit so many posts, like the bounces weren't going our way. I feel like they played okay, but
They played better than the games against Washington and Calgary that they've lost after
Yeah.
the All-Star break.
Yeah.
But it's a little worrisome.
Yeah.
yeah.
Um,
Well, I mean, I don't know about you, but I didn't expect them to obviously be this good coming into the year as far as like where they were before the All-Star break. So,
True. Yeah.
but so I know we were just talking about this before we started, and I was going to ask you, and you said you've been thinking about it, but do you know when you started watching hockey either casually, and then my other part
Yeah,
of the
well,
question is when you started actually
it,
watching like every Bruins game?
It's when I started watching hockey and got into it. It was probably right around the time of the expansion from 6 to 12 teams. So
67.
yeah, so the first game I went live to, I remember I was in 7th grade, so it was the 67-68 season, and I remember it was against Detroit in the old Boston Garden,
Mm-hmm.
and Gordie Howe was still playing. That's how
That's crazy.
long ago.
Yeah.
And but I don't remember who won. Bruins were starting to get good then, but they still were. Them and Detroit were always in last place back then. But it coincided with this TV station that came into Boston. I don't know if you guys remember UHF television. So
Nope.
back, so when I was a kid growing up, you had your 3 networks, and in Boston it was channel 4, 5, and 7, and then channel 2 was PBS, and that was all the channels you got.
That was it.
Yep.
So then this thing called UHF came, and this is obviously all before cable, and you had this little round circle antenna that you had to attach to the back of your TV.
Oh yeah.
And they had channels like in Boston, the first one on UHF was channel 38. And they started broadcasting the Bruins games. And I think it was just home games for a while. And, it wasn't like today. Not every game was on TV, but when the games were on, we would watch. And it was the same, coincided with Bobby Orr, and they started to get good. And then I think in the 69-70 season that they won the cup, they showed probably like 75% of the games.
Hmm.
And, the whole city of Boston was hooked back then on hockey. It was amazing how many rinks were built in the early '70s because of the popularity. Um, People were playing pickup hockey games at 11 o'clock at night because that was the only time they could get ice time. So
Mm.
it was really pretty amazing. And then, so I've been a hockey fan since then.
Well, I have a lot of questions based off that story.
Oh
Um,
boy, okay.
First question, I don't know if you would remember this. Do you have any idea how much the tickets cost when you went in seventh grade to that game?
Uh, um, I think I went with a friend of mine, Harold Kelly, and his parents got the tickets, and I think his father was a contractor, and I think someone gave them to him.
Nice.
But I
Were they,
think
were
they
they
were.
good seats?
I don't even remember. I
Always good
I don't
seats.
think the garden sold out back then,
Mm.
um, but I imagine they were pretty good seats, and they were probably, I don't know, $2, $3 maybe back
That's so
then.
funny.
That's
It was just you and your friend that went.
that's something.
Yeah,
That's the other thing.
yeah,
Like seventh grade, just like going to a game by themselves, like
Yeah, that's different.
good
yeah.
old '60s.
We took the tea in,
Hmm.
and it was fairly safe back then for
Yeah.
kids. I don't think mom would have let you go in seventh grade to
No.
Boston with a buddy. So
Hmm.
Oh, that's
Um,
awesome.
my other question is, when you did watch on TV, like when you first started watching on TV, how easy did you find it to like track the puck with your little old school TVs and not non HD television?
not very well. I mean, you had to really concentrate.
Yeah, jeez.
We the first games I watched were on a 19-inch black and white TV.
Yeah.
So and the those round antennas like halfway through watching they would get loose and used to send someone up to move it around and stuff because we didn't have channel changes or anything like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you
So
were the kid, so you were the one that had to get up, right?
Yeah.
Like, or your
yeah,
parents.
right.
You're the
So
remote control. Go.
Yeah.
Change it.
exactly.
Yeah. And it's
Yeah, you
it's
probably just had to like learn to watch where players were looking, and I'm sure that like helped your hockey knowledge, like
Yeah, I
tracking.
mean it was easier to not easier to follow the puck, but to know who was because none of the players were wearing helmets either.
Oh, true.
yeah.
So you could really pick up. You know, you knew exactly who was what someone looked like, and
Learned all the hairstyles.
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, that's funny. I
But
forget what I was gonna ask about. Oh, did they have names on the back of the jerseys that far back? Or, I feel like Brendan might know this.
My I don't know if I feel like the answer is yes, but um like with the
Okay,
orb
Google Bruins '67
picture,
jersey.
is it just say does it just have the 4 on
Yeah.
it, or does he have his name on the back? Or can you even see that in the photo?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I feel like maybe they did, but I don't know.
I don't, I don't, I think that was a fairly new.
Not like you'd be able to see him on your TV anyway back then.
Yeah. It
No,
really only be for the people in the stands watching the game.
Yeah, and
right,
the broad. Well, I
Then they
assume
could
it's
just see
like
the numbers.
broadcasters in the '60s. Like there was always color or like
That's true,
play
yeah.
by play commentary, right?
Yeah.
right.
And was there always two guys? Like was there always a color commentary guy? There was
As,
no between the
as
benches, that's for sure.
Yeah.
No, there wasn't any of that. There wasn't.
You get one angle.
Um, there was two. there was one guy that was a long time Bruins announcer was this guy Fred Cusick,
Hmm.
and he had different. He was probably the first one that I remember, and but he had different color people. There was I think his name was Johnny Pearson was one for a long time. He was an ex-Bruins player, and there was another guy, Cooney Wyland, and then Derek Sanderson was play-by-play for
Oh,
a real long time.
I
So,
didn't know that.
yeah,
I looked it up. Apparently, at the start of the 1977 season, the NHL placed into effect a rule that also required players to display the name of the
Hmm.
player wearing them in addition to their number. But the Maple Leafs owner, Harold Ballard, initially refused to follow the new rule.
Wow.
probably
Oh, I
because
remember
they,
this because they wanted to sell brochures or the
yes,
pamphlets.
yeah, yeah. The programs that cost, I think, 15 cents back then, they're
Yeah,
probably making a bundle on them.
yeah. So I'm
Oh
sure
my
some
gosh.
teams probably might have brought it into their system before that year, but that's when they made it a rule.
Official, yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And for some reason, I think that they went on the away jerseys before the home jerseys,
Hmm,
but I could be wrong on that. So,
interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe because the home teams, like you said, still wanted to sell the the
right, right.
program.
Yeah, it could be. And back then, fans didn't have jerseys either, and like they weren't nearly, really a thing. I think even like until like up until the 80s or so is when like fans really started to wear them in the stands, but like for normal games back
Right.
in 60s and 70s, it was mostly like business casual, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was, like in the 70s and stuff, it was, yeah, you wore your, well, most games it was cold, so you had a, you know, winter jacket on,
Yeah.
or if you look at some of the pictures back in the 50s and early 60s, and of course before that, um, even in baseball, you see guys with shirts and ties on,
Yeah.
watching the games. And, you
Something
used
else.
to see a few because people in Boston who were working and, would wearing a suit or something would go out to dinner after work and then go to the game and then go home.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But now people don't even wear suits to work, so it's not.
Yeah.
It's
True. Yeah, it's crazy. Like looking at like the Bobby Orr picture, for example. It's like there's no ads on the boards. The glass is like half the height. There's no like safety netting or anything. It's like
no,
crazy how much has changed.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Pucks were flying out all the time. I
Yeah, I
mean,
bet.
people would, and that's when the big, really big curved sticks came in, and the slap shots, and they were going over the
Hmm.
glass at the end of the rink and stuff, and
Jeez.
people were ducking to get out of the way.
Yeah.
That's
Um,
crazy.
And they had the in the old garden they had the organ like was probably at the top of what the loge seats in a new arena are, taking up all these spaces, and they would you could watch them playing the organ, in between face-offs and stuff, and
That's cool.
it was pretty wild.
Yeah, they wouldn't give up that a prime real estate nowadays.
No,
They are
no.
selling that spot as many times as they can.
yeah, and like TD Garden a couple years ago added an extra like 300 seats, just like squeeze everything tighter to just get a couple more
Right, right.
couple thousands of dollars of profit each game.
Yeah.
Yeah. The old Boston Garden was, I mean, it had a lot of problems. It had, a lot of obstructed views.
Hmm.
You'd have seats behind poles and stuff
Oh.
like that.
Hmm.
And
That's like Fenway.
yeah, yeah, same thing. And if you were so in the mid '70s, a good friend of mine, his father had seasons tickets, and they had 3 seasons tickets. And for some reason, the Bruins had a lot of home games on Sunday nights, and so this my buddy's father on a Sunday night goes, I don't want to go to the game or whatever. So I would go with my buddy and his brother, and so I went to a lot of games on Sunday nights, and his seats were in the stadium, so above the loge, under the balcony, and you could see all the ice perfectly. You couldn't see the scoreboard up
Oh,
in the the because the overhang of the balcony,
Yeah.
and that was one of the great parts about the old garden was the seats were so close to the ice. It was really steep, but you were like right on top of the action. Like all the new arenas are much more gradual, going back from
yeah.
That makes sense.
the
Yeah.
ice, so you're not as close. But it was time to get rid of it because it was falling apart.
I know like people are nostalgic for some of the old arenas, like the Coliseum for the Islanders and like
Oh,
the Joe.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but I think Edmonton's arena is one of the ones I know like Jack always mentions it on the broadcast. It's like really steep because they're like really high up there, I think.
Mm.
Mm.
And the
Um,
Saddle Dome is like really old too. That one's gonna be
oh yeah.
remembered pretty soon because I think they are getting a new arena within the next couple of years. It's like yeah,
Mm,
they've been wanting that for a long time. It's been pretty outdated.
yeah. But even like the new garden, like Brendan and I were literally the last row. And I'm like, we're still not like that far away. Like it's still not terrible
Right, right. It's still,
because it's like an
yeah.
indoor
Yeah, you
arena. It's
really
not
can't
like a
have like
football game.
a bad seat like or a bad experience as far as like the seating is concerned. Pretty much it like any arena that I've been to, even like when I went to Bell Center and I was in the nosebleeds, the 300s. I wasn't in like the very last row, but we were pretty high up. We couldn't see the scoreboard, like the jumbotron, but we could see
Mm,
the ice just fine.
Well, and nowadays
yeah.
they have like the whole ring of screens around, so like you can look anywhere to see the score basically.
Yeah, so it
Right,
wasn't really
right.
a concern. And
Yeah.
that's probably like the worst that I've had, and I've been to like 10 arenas at this point, a little bit more than that. So,
Mm,
um, pretty good nowadays.
yeah.
When were those Sunday night games at like the 70s that you were going to those?
Yeah, yeah. So,
Um, is there anything specific about like old hockey, like 70s or like when you went as a kid that's not in the game today that you miss? I mean, obviously like things that come to mind are like line brawls and like I don't know, the way like penalties weren't or were called back then, but like maybe something that like other people like me and Brendan might not even think about, like things that happened back then that like you wouldn't
I
know unless you were there kind of thing.
there was I remember one game I was at. It was against the Blackhawks, and I don't know what precipitated it, but um, back then, back then they served beer in bottles,
Oh,
and something happened, and fans started throwing bottles on the ice, and they I think it was at the end of the game, but it was you know guys were like trapped under the net hiding, and it
Jeez.
was it ended pretty quick, but that kind of stupid stuff is gone from the game, thankfully.
yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
that's a
there's things
good
like that, like
change.
where like you buy a beer now, they crack it open for you, so you're not throwing a full beer on the ice, or like they'll take like caps like off your water bottle. They'll take the caps, like all these things were definitely made for a reason. Like someone made these changes happen back in the day.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you know, too, like I remember Flyers one year they had like those bracelets in the playoffs, and they like littered the ice with them after
Oh
a
yeah,
game
yeah.
or like
Mm-hmm.
during a game, and like even the players, like the Flyers players, were trying to like get the fans to stop doing
Stop!
it.
Stop!
Yeah.
Right,
You
right.
can't control Philly, even if you're one of their favorite athletes, they'll do whatever they want to do.
I mean, some of the traditions are still good, like, Detroit throwing the octopus and
The
stuff like
Rats in
that.
Florida, I guess it's
The
90s, but
rats,
yeah.
90s, yeah.
yeah. But but I mean, they they had to get rid of the all out brawls and stuff because it was just ridiculous. And of course, I mean, being like 14-year-old kid, I loved it, but
Yeah, that was
I
my
can
favorite
see the
thing. Like
point
there
of
were still fights in like they were still pretty common in like the 2010s, and I remember that was
yeah,
my favorite
yeah.
part because like you would always watch the games. Like I didn't start watching like every game until probably college, but like you always had them on. So I remember like if there was a fight, it would always catch my attention. And like other than that, I'm like, it's
Right,
hockey.
right.
Yeah,
But like
yeah.
a fight, yeah, those were always exciting. So when
Yeah.
did you start watching every Bruins game, or I guess almost every Bruins game? Do you remember, or just basically when it was available?
Um so of course, when I was like in high school and college, I probably didn't watch games on Friday and Saturday nights because I had other things to
Mm-hmm.
do. But
Fair.
but during the week, yeah, I probably started in. I think like that from that 69-70 season on, and then I
Wow.
probably watched the least amount when I was in college because we still didn't have cable back then.
Yeah.
And
You couldn't get Game Center live.
no, no, nothing like that.
Couldn't stream
And
them all.
the reception was horrible, because I was at school in New Hampshire and the stations were in Boston, so you didn't get them that. And I don't know if they were still on channel 38. They were on channel 38 for the longest time, and then they Nesson started doing when cable came in. Nesson was created, and then half the games were on Nesson and half were on channel 38. I think home was on one, way was on another,
Hmm.
and so
Did they have them on the radio back then?
yeah, yeah, they were always on the radio.
Yeah.
But
It's funny. It's like even today we still have struggles with watching the games. Not in
Yeah.
the same way. Like we do have
right,
so many
Now it's just people
options.
being greedy. It's greed.
Yeah, like I was, I've looked into it a little bit as far as what you'd actually need, depending on your location and the team you root for, like how many different services you'd need to have in order to actually watch every game for like your one team. So like
mm,
your home area wherever you are, that's blacked out from like ESPN Plus, so you have to get like a local cable subscription or something. And then
right,
you have to there's like games on NHL Network exclusively too. So you got to make sure you have that. You got to like have all
Yeah.
these it's like probably like four or five different services just to watch every game, and that's really not feasible for most people. So
no.
it's
Even
it's unfortunate.
like now we have, as Dean knows, we have cable here, and his mother and I fight over who gets to watch the. We have two TV. We have more than two TVs, but we only have two hooked up, and we only have cable for one.
Yeah.
So I'll go down the basement, and as we have Nesson, so we get Nesson 360 app for free, but it's the worst app. It
Mm,
it uh,
Yeah.
it,
I
it
have
is
heard that.
horrible, and people pay $30 a month for it so that they can watch Bruins games out of market. And then the worst thing was that when we were away last winter in the Bahamas, after a month, it says your vacation time has ended. You no longer can have access to NESN
Jeez.
360.
That's
So it's like,
crazy.
well, what am I paying cable for at home, and I can't use it,
Mm,
consistently. So
Ugh.
yeah. Well, yeah, I guess they don't expect people being on vacation for more than a month.
it's true.
Yeah, but no, yeah. I mean, if you're paying that much, you should be able to get it whenever.
I mean,
Yeah.
there's plenty of Bruins fans that are snowbirds, and
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
you know,
Um. So you mentioned earlier how like hockey started kind of booming in the 70s and like
yeah.
people started playing more and rinks were getting put up. When did you start playing hockey?
So I didn't start playing till I was uh, old, an adult, because um, I loved hockey and I loved watching it, and I played pond hockey and stuff. But our town at the time didn't have a youth hockey program, and we didn't get the youth hockey program till I was think around 10. And by that time I was playing a lot of basketball, so it wasn't like I'm like, and I wasn't a good skater and stuff, and I didn't want to be a 10-year-old learning to skate with 5-year-olds, and
Hmm.
so I didn't. So anyway, when I got out of college and then started working, I found out about this hockey for adults, and it was for novice players, and they taught you, and it was North American Hockey League. I think it's still around, and now adult leagues are everywhere, as
Yeah.
Dean can
Yeah,
attest. And I mean,
right.
it's
And
you know,
my league has like 5 divisions, and some of them have like subdivisions. Like it's huge.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
That's awesome.
So it's so at the time when I found out about this, I had a job where I was traveling a lot, so I couldn't do it. So I said, as soon as I get a different job, I'm going to join up. So I didn't start actually playing in leagues till I was 33 years old. So,
Never too
And
and
late.
then I played.
were
I,
you still hadn't become a good skater yet?
um,
Like where had
I
you
got
skated before playing hockey?
where had I skated before?
Yeah, like you said, you knew you weren't a good skater as a kid, so you must have like been
Oh,
ice
we
skating.
played pond hockey.
Okay.
So yeah,
Did you ever
and
play
then
roller hockey?
no, I've never played roller hockey because
Do you know how rollerblade just because it's close enough to skating?
I've never figured out how to stop on
Hmm.
rollerblades.
It's
Yeah.
hard. I mean I can't like hockey stop. I know people can, but like I just kind of like
Yeah,
drag my 1 foot a little bit. Unless I have the
yeah.
brake, I'll just use the brake, but that
Brute
gets worn
force it.
down so quick if you use it all the time.
Yeah.
So we played a ton of street hockey though
Yeah.
growing up, and in fact, we used to the in the town of Milton where I grew up. Um, like every neighborhood had a team. Of course, you played like your neighborhood. You played against each other, but we used
So
to
cool.
travel to other neighborhoods and
Take them
play.
on.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
awesome.
How
and
good
we
was
we
your neighborhood any good? What was your unofficial record against other
I
neighborhoods?
don't know, but we were the Frothingham Street Flyers.
That's a sweet name.
That is a
Yeah,
mouthful. I love it.
and and then yes, well, the street we played on was Frothingham Street,
Yeah.
so we and then after when we got older, we changed the name from the Flyers to the Frosties.
Ooh, the Frosties.
Yeah, it can't be named the Flyers in that close to Boston.
That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
That's right. But we used to play. So we used to play on the street, obviously, and then when we'd play other neighborhoods, we would meet and play in tennis courts
Hmm.
because the nets
Nice.
would be down for the winter.
Neutral site.
And
No fair. Nobody gets advantage on the neutral site.
You're right. But yeah, some of those games were pretty brutal because you didn't wear equipment and
No.
they allowed body checking and got a lot more leverage wearing sneakers than
Yeah.
on skates. And yeah,
Yeah, I'm
and
sure if there's
then
like any major size difference between two guys, like you can get seriously rocked.
yeah, and
Yeah,
then
what
the
was
worst part was the poles that held up the nets. You had to be careful that
Oh,
you,
right?
you didn't go into those.
oh goodness.
But
What was the age range in these games?
probably, I don't know, it was probably like 12 to 15 years old was when we were in the most.
Hmm.
So
And you guys had a rival neighborhood, like your biggest rival, or not really? Didn't really work like that. Maybe a team that had like a particularly annoying kid
I
on it.
hate this kid. Yeah.
Yeah, like the movie villain.
no, we
Ah,
no, because it was neighborhoods. I mean, we probably all went to the same school and
yeah,
stuff, so it wasn't like anything too bad, but
that's fun. Still fun.
yeah, it was probably only two or three other neighborhoods that we played consistently, and most of the time we played amongst ourselves.
Yeah, I'm sure it's hard
That's
to
cool.
organize that stuff as a kid. Like,
Yeah, and we didn't have licenses or anything. Obviously, we were too young,
yeah,
so it had to be within walking distance, and yeah, we used to get someone, a parent, to bring the net because we made our own nets. It wasn't like you could go out to exporting goods and buy a hockey net, for street
Mhm.
hockey
yeah.
back then. We we made nets with 2x4s, and and they were heavy as
Oh, I bet.
crazy, and you could barely move them.
And did you make them like roughly like full size?
Yeah. So
Just eyeball the dimensions.
yes,
Were the two nets at
I
least the
don't know,
same size?
huh?
Were the two nets at least the same size?
Yeah, I think they were relatively close enough for us back
Yeah,
then.
right.
Yeah. Well, I also assumed no one played goalie, right? You kind of like all played up and just tried to like block.
No, we always had
So
a
you had a goalie
goalie.
with actual goalie pads.
Um,
They kind of stood in net.
they I don't think they had goalie pads.
They were just designated goalie.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
they
the
had a
biggest.
goalie stick,
You're playing goalie
a
today.
goalie stick, and a baseball glove.
Oh
Nice.
Yeah,
yeah,
you're a goalie. You're a goalie.
there you go.
Yeah.
You're set. That's
Cool.
awesome.
Yeah, because when
Malcolm
I
Lewin
was in
side.
college, I wasn't even good enough to make um, my fraternity's intramural team because there was so many good players there,
Hmm.
and but I was good at street hockey. We had street hockey intramurals in the spring, and that was a lot of fun.
Nice.
Um,
Um,
but
Switching topics a little, what is
okay.
your favorite Bruins moment that isn't the 2011 Cup win?
Mm.
I don't know what mine would be off the top of my head either. I'd have to think about that. Not to put you on the spot.
Well, it would probably go back to when they won the cup in 1970.
Sure.
And I
That
was,
would have been my
if you,
guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty
I
special.
think the most disappointing, other than 2019 was pretty disappointing.
That one
Yeah.
hurt. Yeah. Do you feel this way? Do you feel like 2019? Well, like, how do you feel about 2013 when they lost to the Blackhawks?
Yeah.
I I thought the Blackhawks were a better team at the
Mm-hmm.
time, so
Yeah.
I didn't think they should. The thing in 2019 was like everything fell into place for the Bruins, that the teams that they would have had a tough time to beat got eliminated, and
Yeah.
then
They
they
swept
were
Carolina.
yeah, and then it was just so I and it's amazing that the Blues, because they weren't even they were in last place, weren't they? At
It was the whole narrative. They talked about the whole playoffs. Last place in the league, January 2nd, was it? January 4th, whatever
Yeah,
day.
yeah.
yeah,
Last
it was
place in
like
the league.
way after Thanksgiving that they were still in
Yeah.
last place,
Oh yeah.
and then going way back is that 1971 was a giant disappointment.
Mm.
The the Bruins set all these scoring records and stuff, and they lost in the playoffs to Montreal because this Ken Dryden, this college kid that no one had ever heard of, you know, started playing goal and stood on his head for Montreal. And
Yeah.
of course, we didn't know at the time he was going to be one of the greatest goaltenders of all
Yeah.
time. But
Right. Well, I guess I wonder if like Bennington had turned into the next Ken Dryden, if that would make me feel better or worse. Like he played great, but
Probably
like
he
probably
did,
better.
yeah,
probably better, but maybe his personality was different.
Yeah, yeah.
right.
Yeah, I don't want a guy hot-headed to also be backing it up by
Right.
being really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you have any questions for my dad, Brendan? I think I've asked a lot.
Um, well, I piggybacked on a couple of things that we had talked about.
Hmm.
I don't know. I feel like I have more
What do you want to
questions.
know about hockey history?
Yeah, it's kind of. I
Our
mean,
history buff.
I didn't grow up watching it, and my dad
Mm.
didn't either. He only went to his first NHL game last year with me, so
Oh wow.
we've had quite a different path. But I'm sure it was awesome, and I wish I had been growing up that I'd watched it and gotten into it, because I would have been like so I would have had so much more knowledge and time with it. But
Think about how many more
Right.
jerseys you could have had by now.
yeah, I don't know if I would have like if I would have been into them back then, or whatever. And
You'd have baseball or hockey cards.
yeah, I could. I never
Hockey
really got
cards.
into card collecting, luckily. I feel like that one's also a bit of a money sink, and you don't really.
Yeah.
I feel like you don't get as much value out of like the hockey cards. Like, at least I can wear these whenever I want.
Right.
Right.
I can't
Do
really
you ever have
do
hockey
anything.
cards, Dad?
No, I had baseball cards like when I was young, but then I never got into the. I don't know when it was the biggest was in the 80s or 90s that
Mm.
collectibles like card shows were like
Oh yeah.
a big deal, and they would always have celebrities there signing stuff for money, and supposedly it was going to be you know it was going to be worth millions in a few years and
Yeah, yeah,
stuff, and
Like
it's
Beanie
kind
Baby.
of like
yeah. Right.
it's kind of faded out.
Yeah.
But
Oh, one thing I am interested about is out of the now like defunct teams that no longer exist, whether the franchise or just if the team moved, like Hartford, for example. Like, I guess
yeah,
out of the ones that are no longer in the league, like, do you have any that you would root for, like, as far as like coming back? Obviously, you're a Bruins fan, but just like one that you
Right,
miss
right.
having in the league.
I think, I mean, Hartford was a big rivalry with the Bruins, so that was kind of cool. And I actually went to the
The mall.
the Whalers when they first came into the league. They were WHA, and they played at the Boston Garden.
Yeah.
They at one time in the late '70s, there were three professional teams in Boston: the Bruins, the Whalers, and Boston Braves were an AHL team, and they all played at the Garden, and I don't think they all sold out, obviously, but yeah, the Boston was able to support three teams, and then so,
That's cool.
but yeah, I didn't like the the Western teams of original the original 12. That I remember the Oakland Golden Seals were kind of cool because they wore white skates.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
I do remember people talking about that. That the white skates were pretty cool.
Because they were owned by the same guy that owned the Oakland Athletics at the time, and they wore white cleats. So, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I think there's talk about teams that are gonna come back, and cities that where Arizona is going to end up, and I think what'll happen with them is I think they're going to move in the next year or so, and eventually another team, once they get an arena straightened out and stuff, I think a team will go back there, because
That could be.
I think Bettman really wants a team in Arizona.
Oh,
so.
yeah.
Yeah, he's made that clear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I
So,
also heard talks about like maybe Arizona moves out into a different place for a new arena and then comes back, but like it's so hard to like restart it. Like you lose your fans at that point. It's like what you're saying would make sense where like Arizona relocates and then a new team comes in.
yeah, I think that might happen.
Yeah,
So,
like a second coming of the Coyotes, basically like what they did with the original Jets. So it would be
yeah,
the Jets that moved and became the Coyotes, and then the Coyotes leave to form, Utah, whatever team or wherever, and
yeah,
then expansion happens, and it's the second coming of the Arizona Coyotes, or maybe they rename them, or whatever. I could
right.
see that. There's been still some talks about. Apparently, they did get into that meeting with the Phoenix like city or whatever, and they did talk pretty highly about 100 acres or so of land being purchased. I don't know if that's. I haven't seen anything like official on it from any news outlets, just some like insiders. So maybe they bought land, or at least in the process of doing so. But it's still like you still gotta spend like 5 years to build it. Like,
Right. And I don't think they can
It'd
maintain
be
the
so
team as
long.
it is in that amount of time. So,
yeah,
Yeah.
like there's no rule in the CBA as far as like arena capacity. So, and it meets all of the like NHLPA requirements, I guess, as far as what the players need for their facilities. So I don't know how easily they'll be able to like force the Coyotes out of Mullet, especially if they do end up buying land and are beginning like the arena process. Like if they do actually get something established, and it's like, okay, yeah, we gotta wait 5 years, but I think they might just let him play and mull it until the arena gets built, if that happens.
I don't like that.
Yeah, which, you know, I'm sure a lot of fans who have wanted Arizona to move for a while will be like, we're really going to give them another 5 years in this tiny little shared arena just so they can stay versus like giving, you know, Houston or
Right,
Utah
right.
or Quebec City or wherever. They probably wouldn't do Quebec just because the East-West thing, but yeah, we'll see if that
I don't
happens,
think
but I
Bet.
think they'd be upset.
Yeah, I don't think Bettman wants another team in Canada anyway. For some reason, I think he'd rather have. I think Salt Lake City would be a great landing spot for them because well, it would put up a natural rivalry with Las Vegas, and
Yeah. Which they
and I
tried to
think
have like a desert rivalry sort of thing at the beginning, and that it just never worked because both teams were not like the Coyotes were still bad and Vegas was immediately good. So it's like okay,
right,
like
right.
there's nothing really going on here at all. I kind of thought that might be a thing that would happen is just because of proximity. Like I didn't really know about the California teams, but I figured probably just because we're in the same division, and at the time the Coyotes
Mm.
were in the same division too, so felt like maybe something was gonna happen, and then yeah, it just never did.
You'd say Utah would be your choice for like an expansion team or like just a new team in general. That would be your first choice location wise, you think?
Yeah, I think so. Either that or Houston.
Mm.
I mean, I keep hearing talk that they want to try Atlanta again,
Yeah.
Yep.
but and a lot of people that are pretty smart hockey people have said that Atlanta will work, and I don't know why it hasn't twice already. So
Right.
Yeah,
I
they've
mean,
they've struggled.
same with Quebec City, like they've had chances and they're still trying to make some noise like, hey, we still want an expansion team,
Yeah.
but like
right,
it doesn't sound like that's where it's heading anytime soon.
yeah, I've heard a lot just this past week of. I read some article and it was naming like six possible cities, and it was cities that I'd never heard before. I mean, the ones we've mentioned, and then I've heard Halifax, Nova Scotia,
Mm.
uh, Hamilton, Ontario,
Yep.
because it
Yep.
would
Mm,
be um, Kansas City.
Yeah, Kansas
Because
City
it,
and I think Omaha. Batman
yeah,
mentioned in his like governor or like his meeting press conference or whatever he had during the All Star break. He had mentioned that those two cities had reached out in some capacity to them. I think yeah, it's like six cities. So it's like it was kind
right,
of
right.
interesting. Kansas City did briefly have an NHL team. Um,
That's right. The Scouts.
yeah, scouts. And Omaha, obviously, I don't think anyone would ever really expect them to win out, but it's kind of cool that like they're at
No.
least throwing their hat in the ring, I guess. So
Yeah, yeah,
we'll see what happens. I think obviously no expansion until the Arizona situation is figured out, and then
right.
if they determine that they're going to stay or otherwise, then they'll go from there. But it's just always kind of fun to think about.
well,
Yeah.
also once you get another team, you're at 33, so you'd think a 34th team would be like
Yeah,
not too far
Yeah, I
behind.
do one of
think they'd
the
have to bring in.
two teams at the same time thing like they did with the
Yeah.
Wild and the Blue
I mean,
Jackets and plenty of other.
34 is also a lot of teams.
Oh yeah, it's a
It
lot.
is.
It's the most.
Yeah.
Well, Milwaukee is another one I heard.
Yeah.
Milwaukee.
But I mean that it's kind of strange because Wisconsin is such a big college and high school hockey state that I think it could support it. But
Yeah.
Yeah, and they love
you
their
know,
their two teams that they have. Like the Bucks are pretty big right now, and obviously the
mm,
Green Bay Packers are like such a historic franchise and everything. So I really wouldn't be surprised at all if like Milwaukee got a team that they would be supported like right out the gate.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know how much interest there really is from the city and from the league. It's like, yeah, you gotta if it was expansion, you're thinking more than $1 billion for the fee. So it's like, how many Milwaukee-based groups or artists or whatever are there that are willing to put up the money? We'll see, I guess.
If someone bought the Coyotes, would they have to pay a fee? No, just buy it. They would have to pay the current owners. They wouldn't have to pay a franchise fee, right?
No, yeah,
I
it
don't
wouldn't
think
be an
so.
expansion fee.
Yeah.
Yeah, imagine like buying the team and then like if you're buying the team, you'd have to know what's going on. Like you would just buy the team now and be like, "Uh-oh, my team's gone."
Yeah, we're like, wait, I didn't know we didn't have an arena.
Yeah.
You guys didn't tell me that. And then Alex Morwell was like, "Oh, sorry, gotta go." It's
Yeah,
like,
thanks for the $1 billion.
yeah, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Uh,
Do you want to talk about the Ridley Greig slap shot?
Oh yeah.
I know my dad actually sent me. I've seen this video so many times now. The one you sent me, Dad, on
Oh,
Instagram. The like, I forget the guy who did it, but like
I do
the
too.
ways to celebrate the your empty net goals.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like it's been all over the internet.
That
But
was pretty funny.
yeah, Riley got 5 games for cross-checking Greg after that. So what are you guys' thoughts on the slap shot and then we'll start with the slap shot. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it was kind of Bush League. I mean, yeah, you can do it if you want, but he, I guess if you're going to do it, you might as well expect something to happen.
Yeah.
So, I, so, I don't think it was a good thing to do, but cross check to the head isn't a good thing either. So,
No.
I mean, the thing I was surprised was that, well, first when he was in person meeting, I thought he's automatically getting 6 game suspension.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then they made it 5, right? That
Yeah.
and when you look at it, I don't think he directly meant to hit his head.
Yeah, kind of like rode up.
A little
Yeah.
bit, yeah.
So it wasn't like a direct hit to the head. So maybe that's why they gave him 6 instead of 5. But Riley, I mean, it was fine that he reacted, but maybe a glove to the head instead of a stick would have been
Yeah, yeah.
Right. Or if you just like
more
drop the gloves with
appropriate.
him or cross check him in the chest, or there's so many other things you can do to like get your point across and get a 2-minute minor or a 5-minute major and not get
And
suspended
not get a
for it.
suspension, yeah.
Yeah.
And no one would be talking
That-
about it probably. He just did that.
Yeah.
So what do you think?
I mean, I don't really have a problem with the slap shot. I'm pro pest for the most part. As long as you're not like doing something to like cause injury or like intent to injure, I think it was kind of funny.
Yeah, I was in
But
the
at the
same
time, like
camp.
if you're like gooning it up again, like expect some retaliation. It seems like he went down pretty easy after the cross check. I mean, he still got to stick to the throat, sure, but like
Right.
I feel like if you're gonna do it, you gotta kind of fully lean into it and accept it and like turn and just like be ready to drop the gloves or whatever. He like went off like unsuspecting, like, oh, I didn't do anything. Like you gotta go one way or the other. You can't just kind of like be in the middle there. Like you can't just like do that and then just like skate to the bench. So I feel like if you're gonna do it, you gotta go all out and like
Yeah.
do the slap shot and like be ready to defend yourself. But I had no
Yeah.
problem with the slap shot. And like I said, if Riley had just like retaliated in a normal way, I'd be fine with it. But yeah, what he did was dumb.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, I thought it was I thought it was funny also, and it was like, clearly that was such an easy way to get under those guys' skin. It's like,
It
yeah,
worked.
okay, like, um, you can't handle this. Like, I know, yeah, obviously they were beating them and everything, but the Sens play hard against the Leafs every time, and like the
Yeah.
Leafs, it feels like have not been doing that at least this year, that well. So I think Ridley Greig like knew the role that he was playing. Like that's what he does is he's an agitator, and he's been like pretty effective this year offensively too. So I thought it was pretty good, I guess, of him to do that. I didn't like he didn't have to, but I don't really see a problem with it.
Yeah.
I do agree with Dean though that he probably should have done a little bit better job of like accepting that what he did was going to be retaliated against him.
He knew.
So yeah, but and in agreement with the whole Riley shouldn't have retaliated in that way, and I do think 5 is like what that sort of action should get you normally, but that's like the league just normally doesn't get it right. So they just happen to get it about right this time, and then we'll see
Right.
when something happens like this again what that guy's gonna get, because it's probably not gonna be 5. It's probably gonna be 2 or none or a fine or whatever, and it's like just so annoying.
Well, did you guys know that the Leafs are the most suspended team in the league?
That doesn't
That's
really surprise me.
Well, because what like Leafs fans are saying is basically like Department of Player Safety, like they don't want to be the other way where it's like, oh well, they're a big market team, so you're going easy on them. So like they're like going overcorrecting
Overcorrecting,
and like
yeah.
They're out to get them.
yeah.
When do those two teams play again? Do you have
That's
any
a good
idea?
question.
Much
I do
must
not.
watch hockey.
Yeah,
I mean, it's good to help that rivalry that
that's true.
the Battle of Ontario again. So
Right? Yeah, I mean, hopefully they have another game this year. It can look real
I
quick.
feel like they've played only maybe twice, maybe 3 times. So they probably have either one or 2 more games left.
I don't know. I'm not seeing one.
Hmm.
Yeah, no, I don't see it, which is terrible. Unfortunate.
Guess they'll have to meet in the playoffs then.
Yeah.
Unlikely.
Um,
I don't.
I assume you heard, Dad, that Patra's out for the season.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sucks.
I wondered why they were, you know, he was only playing like every other game, and they said, oh, because we're trying to bring him along, and but it was because he was hurt the whole time, and they.
Yeah, and I don't even know when the injury happened. I guess I'm trying to remember. Like, 'cause he's been like injured. He got hurt like a couple times in games, but I don't remember which one
Right.
specifically.
I remember seeing when they announced that he was out for the season, they showed a replay of when they think it may have happened,
Okay.
but I forget when it was. So
Yeah. And shoulder injuries always worry me 'cause,
Yeah.
like you have multiple surgeries and like I don't know. Hopefully it doesn't affect him down the road, but we will see.
Yeah, I think he's got
Yeah.
like the youth factor on his side, because it's like
Yeah,
it's
that's
not like
true.
he's Patrick Kane where he's going through a shoulder thing at like 36 or something. It's
Like what was it? Like the hip resurfacing, which
yeah,
is
that's what he had, not
Yeah.
shoulder.
Yes.
But I
Yeah.
just threw his name out there
Right,
because he's
right, right.
old. But yeah, like hopefully it's something that I don't. Did they officially like say that he needed surgery and that's why he was out? Like he already had the surgery, or I can't remember.
No, I think they announced it when he was going in for the surgery.
Oh, okay.
And so- I mean, it's smart to
Yeah.
do it now because he'll have the whole. I think it's like a 6 month thing, so he'll get a full training camp in before
Yeah.
next year.
Yeah, so
Yeah, at least we got to see
that's
though,
good
like
stuff.
enough of his play. Like we kind of know what we're gonna get
Yeah.
out of him. So I mean, it was more than we expected. Like we didn't expect him to even be in the NHL this year. So
Yeah,
I guess
Right, right.
silver lining.
that was a
And
bonus.
speaking of young players with injuries, Bedard just had his first game back last night,
Mm.
coming back from his broken jaw.
Yeah,
And I know. Well, the other young guy is Fantilli, who's gonna still be out. What was it, 4 weeks with that
it was. It was.
half
I think it was like
laceration?
6 to 8 or something. Yeah, with the
Yeah.
laceration, it was pretty brutal.
Oh, yeah.
But good to see
Hmm.
Bedard back, and we'll see how he wraps up the year. The Blackhawks have been just terrible without him, as expected. I mean, they were already not good with him, but yeah,
So
they
now
lost last night too.
they're in the running to get the Macklin Celebrini sweepstakes.
No,
Yeah,
no, no,
no way.
no!
That'd be
What?
terrible.
Don't
Huh?
let them get
We don't want
two
the
number one
Blackhawks.
overall picks. That's terrible.
What bad team would you want to get the first pick?
Um, San Jose.
Oh
Yeah, they need it.
no!
Oh yeah, as a Vegas fan, you don't want to hear that.
Boo!
I'd say the Sharks too, or like
I
Anaheim
picked them over Chicago though, definitely.
for sure.
Like it would be good to at least have some competitive games with San Jose in a couple of years. Right now, it's like, we just steamroll them and we move on, for the most part.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So at least there would be something.
I think that Macklin Celebrini, if if he got if did go number one and did go to a team like the Sharks, he would stay another year in college at least.
Yeah,
Probably.
'Cause, but I don't know if Chicago took him, he might come out to play with Bedard, and who
That's
knows?
true. Yeah, that's a good point.
he's a center too, right? So he probably wouldn't be playing like at least on the same line as Bedard, but probably get
Right,
some power
right.
play time with him.
Yeah, I mean, or maybe you put one of them at wing, depending. Like if
Yeah.
you have enough center depth, and if you're trying to just like advertise, be like, look at these two guys on the same line.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know if it would be in the team's best interest to have both of them playing if they did get both of them. I don't know.
That's true.
Like,
I mean, you want centers anyway.
yeah,
Like,
mm,
but how far along, like, do they think that they'll be to start getting more serious just by next year? Like, probably
Yeah.
not much,
no.
but you get to see what you have in them, I guess. But
mhm.
we're ahead of ourselves. We'll wait for the draft.
He's only 17, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That's
He might not
right.
even go first overall. You never know.
That's
He's
true.
projected by everyone to go first overall, though.
Yeah.
I watched
Not
him
as much of a consensus.
the last two Mondays, the Beanpot hockey tournament,
Oh yeah.
in
Northeastern.
and he's as advertised. But BU did not win the Beanpot. I don't know if you knew that.
Mm.
Yeah, my brother goes to Northeastern, so I
Oh,
actually meant to ask him if he watched, because he's been to some of those Beanpot games before. He said they were like electric, like crazier than the Bruins games, and yeah,
they
it was a pretty wild finish for that tournament as far as I can remember. I root for Northeastern just because of him, so I was pretty happy with it.
yeah. No, I always I used to go to the Beanpot every year too when I lived closer to Boston, and Northeastern was my team too, because
Nice.
they were really good in the '80s, and then they dropped off, and now they're like they've won five out of the last six, or they've gone to the finals six times in a row, and that was
Yeah, they've
because
been awesome.
a friend of mine, a guy I worked with, was a Northeastern alumni. He was older than me, and he used to have seasons tickets, and I used to go in a lot with him too to the Northeastern games at Matthews Arena, and then we would go to the Beanpot every year too. So that was always. It's crazy because it's like going to a game at Shield, only like 6 times as big with
Yeah.
4 teams in it, four groups of fans at once, and
Yeah, that's cool.
just yeah.
I know BC just played BU as well, right? Because they're like first and second in the nation or
Yeah,
something. I heard that was like a
so
really good game.
yeah, so 2 weekends ago, when BU was ranked number one and BC was ranked number two in the country, they had uh, home and home series over the weekend, and BC won both of them.
Hmm.
So BC moved up to number one, and BU dropped to three. And then in the Beanpot a week ago Monday in the preliminary game, BU beat BC. So it's quite a rivalry.
Yeah.
And Northeastern has a kid that played 3 years at Clarkson and just transferred to Northeastern.
Oh, really?
Oh, I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
He's played the last 3 years at Clarkson.
yeah. Alex Campbell.
Oh.
Is it?
Yeah, I guess we don't know if Clarkson players anymore.
Yeah.
No.
I did go to a Clarkson game this year, so I have seen them at least once. But yeah,
You have?
I didn't recognize any of the names really. But it was still
I
fun.
hear the Bruins sixth round pick Dustin McFall is still playing there. He's
Yeah,
playing as a graduate student, his
Yeah,
fifth year
I,
or something.
I did know that.
that's awesome. So we did expect that the Blackhawks would be in the Winter Classic this year, and that was confirmed. So it's going to be the Blues versus the Hawks at Wrigley Field next year. We're all very excited to have that matchup again, and the Blackhawks get to play at Wrigley Field again. Like it's the same exact matchup as the inaugural one in 2008. So
Yeah.
I'm not very excited by it. Personally, I know I mentioned before I don't really think that they deserve to be there again. Same with the Blues. Like they literally just played not too long. They just played in 2022 against the Wild. So that I'm not really looking forward to. I don't know how you guys feel about it.
Yeah, I don't know how they go about picking the teams, or I don't know whether they look at the venues first. Like, Wrigley Field is a cool place to have it. So that means, okay, we have to have Chicago.
Yeah.
Just
Mhm.
like if Fenway Park, you know, is a cool place, they would have the Bruins. And so and if it's going to be Chicago, then Blues are the closest geographical, aren't they? So it makes sense, but it's not necessarily what the rest of the hockey world wants, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So
My guess is Bedard came into the league. They're like, we want to market him, so we'll pick the
yeah,
Blackhawks for Bedard. And then they're like, what's the closest team? And hopefully Wrigley Field's available. Or if not, wherever field in St. Louis will go there, I guess.
Yeah.
Or in between, like, yeah. I don't know. I feel like it was based around Bedard was the decision, but
mm,
that's
Yeah.
but
Like
especially based off how much media attention he got when he came into the league. They're like, oh, we gotta have
right,
him at
right.
the Winter Classic as soon as possible.
Yeah, like I think if Columbus got the first overall pick last year and they got Bedard, that it would be like a Columbus versus somebody game. Like what they so this also came out is that the Stadium Series is going to be Columbus versus Detroit at the Ohio State at Ohio Stadium. So I don't know if that's been like officially announced by the league yet, but it's pretty much confirmed at this point. So Columbus
Wow.
gets to play their first outdoor game. They'll be the 30th franchise to do so, and So that's at least something different. It's good to see a
Right.
new venue, see a new team, even if it's not like the Stadium Series is not nearly as prestigious as the Winter Classic. And actually,
We
the
still get
Stadium
new
Series.
jerseys to wear.
Yeah, you still get new jerseys. Unfortunately, they're going to be the Fanatics jerseys, so not
right.
as exciting, but still pretty cool.
And what's the outdoor game in Canada every year? Don't they? There's two
The
Canadian
Heritage
teams.
Classic.
Yeah,
The what
Heritage,
class? Oh yeah, yeah.
Heritage.
which
But I
they do
think
every
they're
like 2
doing that.
years.
That's every other year, I
Yeah.
think.
Because they don't, or they had one. They had one this year, but they aren't gonna have one next year. Yeah, or next season.
Yeah, and then I also put this because I don't know. Remember, I think we talked about this earlier, like the Stadium Series. I'm like, oh, they're actually kind of advertising it, and then like I hadn't heard anything. I'm like, oh yeah, it's tomorrow. Like they didn't. Like I watch the games on ESPN Plus. Don't hear anything about it. Like they're advertising. I was watching the Bruins game last night, and they were advertising the Stanley Cup Final on ABC this
Oh
year. And I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah,
why aren't you saying anything about the Stadium Series? It's in 2 days.
yeah.
Yeah.
It happens every year where it's like, oh yeah, that thing.
And they're playing 2 games this year, so it's two different. It's on 2 different days.
Yeah.
Right, right.
And that obviously being a jersey collector, I've heard that like the jersey rollout has been absolutely terrible. Like the especially the Devils ones, the Adidas version of the Devils ones, like went on sale like very slightly, like and then with like a 1 hour window, they were like completely gone. They had them up a couple other times, but like yeah, they pretty much sold out immediately because they're not
Who would
making any
want those
stock.
ugly things anyway?
Those ones were those ones were pretty good. I thought. I think
Yeah.
they might be my favorite after the Rangers ones, which are my favorite. I haven't bought any of them, but yeah, I heard the rollout was terrible. So there's gonna be
Yeah,
a
it's
lot of
bad.
fans going to the game that don't have the jerseys because they just didn't make any of them. Adidas is like, this is our last year. We're phoning it in. Their releases have been pretty awful. I don't know how the new Lightning jerseys are being released. I don't know if you checked those out, Steve.
I just
The
I
new
just
ones.
looked at it before we got on.
We'd reported that though that was like a leak. There was like a Fanatics version of that jersey that was out somewhere in retail maybe a month ago. We had it in one of our episodes, and so that design was confirmed. It's their new black alternate, which has the victory striping from their inaugural year, where the striping was underneath the armpits. When they score, they like cheer, and you can see the stripes. It's not on the armpits
Oh,
anymore, but they've got that. They've got their shoulder
Funny.
patch as the
So
crest
like
now.
this first picture, if you just glanced at it, the way they wrote third jersey below,
I
it's like
know.
you almost like third jersey. Why'd they put that on the jersey?
Oh gosh, yeah, that would be
I
terrible.
thought when I first saw it, I thought the same thing. I'm like, oh, that's
Yeah.
kind of really strange.
Yeah, that would be a
My
colossal
thought
mistake.
on this is if you had told me that this is a jersey they already have, I'd be like, okay. Like it's just like I don't know. I feel like I mean the logo's different, but like I'm like, it looks like a normal Tampa jersey. It's cool. It's clean though.
Yeah, I don't think they did
Yeah,
a bad job.
I like that they only have three stripes. It bugs me the Bruins shirts with the how many, six?
Yeah. Well, actually,
Whatever.
I have the alternate one, so it's got like the thick yellow and then the thin black, then the thick white, thin black, and then yellow. So, but that one more looks like three stripes just with like the outline.
Yeah.
But yeah, the
Right.
like home and away, the away ones I've gotten more used to. But yeah, those ones I thought were so ugly at first, just all of those stripes.
Yeah, there's a lot. The so for I guess for just Tampa jerseys in general, they usually hardly have any striping. They have like a little bit. And then for this one in particular, they have the three like stripes, the white, the blue and the gray, and then their socks like match the other way because it basically mimics the initial jerseys from '92 that had that same striping. So that's how they did it. So they don't have 6 stripes on the jerseys, but you still have the 6 represented, which is pretty cool. and I like
Cool.
the inside of the collar, which obviously you never see any of the like on any of the players or when you're wearing it. But it worked
Yeah.
out where the three different jerseys that they were wearing when each of their for each of their championships were all different colors. The black ones that they had in '04, they had the aways on when they won in 2020, and then they had the homes. They won at home in 21, so it just worked
That was a
out.
nice touch.
So yeah, that was kind of cool. I watched Aesthetics did a behind the scenes video because he was actually able to film like part of the promotional video and stuff that they did for the launch like a month ago. So that was cool.
That's funny. Someone did comment, "Love it. Just not a huge fan of the third jersey text on the front."
Yeah,
But they did, yeah, they did it in the same jersey font. It's funny.
yeah, that. Yeah, I don't know why you would do that.
Could have
Just
done a better job with the picture.
just the graphics, yeah. But no, that is confirmed not on the actual jersey. They wore them. They debuted them last night, and I believe they got the W too against Colorado.
Oh.
So they're gonna be wearing them for a little bit more, a couple more games in this stretch, and then their last game of the year, they'll also wear them. So these will probably be the last jersey, like new jersey debuts, I would think, for the Adidas era. I feel like I would be surprised if there was another third jersey or something that got revealed after this.
I would take the over on 0 just because you never know.
Yeah, yeah. They do make you money as long as you can
Yeah.
make enough
Maybe
of them.
they'll go out with the bang, reverse retro 3.0.
Doubt it. They have no time. They have no time, and they
It's in
would
their back pocket. They have it already done. They're
they
just
wouldn't
waiting.
make 32 more jerseys with this little time left. They just want to
No.
sell whatever they have to and get out of there.
Yep.
Be done with it.
Yeah,
When
they're
do
done.
they switch over?
Next season.
And that's,
So.
what was it, like a 10-year deal or something?
Yeah. I don't know if you
Really?
guys saw like the baseball, because the MLB is also using them like with Nike, and they put out their new Fanatics baseball jerseys, and fans are pissed. The quality is seriously worse. The players too, because it's the player jerseys also, and they're like, yeah, it's really cheap, and the patches aren't like embroidered anymore, and it's just a
I know the
colossal
thing with
mistake.
like Nike a while back, maybe in like basketball, where they like tried new jerseys, like a new design, or maybe it was like recycled material or something, and they were just ripping all over the place.
Oh,
So, I mean, I guess you can give them the benefit of the doubt, maybe. I mean, they have a terrible history, but yeah, I guess we'll see. If everyone complains and stops buying them,
yeah, I'm not looking
Brendan,
forward to it. Hey, I haven't bought any yet.
yeah,
Well, I do have one, and I have a couple other that were gifted to me.
yeah.
But we can take a break from the jersey bashing and
We can
news.
knock off some injury news.
Yeah.
Lake Wheeler's out for the rest of the regular season and unlikely return for the playoffs, but possible.
Yeah, it's not looking good.
I didn't even see
He's
the
pretty
injury.
old too. Yeah, he
Yeah.
like tried getting up off of the ice and he wasn't able to. They cited it as a lower body. I'm not expecting him to return this year, and he's 38, so this might, be his last shot. I can't remember if he signed a 1-year or a 2-year deal with the Rangers. I think it was maybe just a 1-year. So, that's tough. He was actually having a good year too.
Mm.
So that's a tough blow, and we'll see if the Rangers try to replace him at the trade deadline. We're still a little
Rangers
bit of
have
ways
had
out.
Tough luck with what's the defenseman's name that broke his leg last week?
It wasn't Adam Fox, was it?
No.
He was out for a little bit.
The guy who was out for like 16 games and just come back.
He got re-injured after that.
Yeah, that first game back.
Oh gosh.
Um,
I don't know.
You know more than the host.
Yeah, I didn't. I didn't. I don't know if I heard about that. Maybe my dad knows because he follows the Rangers the most.
Um, Ben Harper,
Oh,
maybe. I don't know. He's out. He's a defender, and I think he's been out for a while. I
do I
don't
have the
know.
right team? I'm pretty sure it's the Rangers.
I know Tanev just got hurt, but he always gets hurt. Sergachev
Yes,
oh,
it was real
for Tampa. Blue
yeah.
jerseys, close.
That was a bad one. Yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah,
Tampa.
He
Yeah,
got stretchered
because
off the
he
ice.
got stretchered off the ice.
Yeah,
were they playing the Rangers?
that might have
They were
been it.
playing the Rangers.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah,
it
okay,
was.
that's
Yeah,
why
it was a hit. It was a hit into the boards, and it was
it
kind of
was like
awkward.
yeah, reverse hit there, and yeah, I saw it once and I couldn't watch it again.
Ugh.
I thought you didn't watch many other non-Bruins games, or that's only when Mom's home.
Yeah, she was out visiting you. That's why I
Ah,
was
so you were
watching it.
watching all of the hockey.
Did you end up watching any of that? The alt cast, the on the Chicklets crew doing the
Oh no,
through
I forgot
TV.
about it.
Yeah, I saw
Did
that
you
they were
watch
doing
it?
that again.
I did. I didn't watch it that night, but I did tape it to watch it, and it was pretty entertaining. I mean,
So was it like you said, is it like the Manning cast or whatever, where they're just kind of talking the whole time?
yeah, and they kept having guests come out,
Nice.
or
Okay, yeah.
guests come on like this onto the screen. They had so from the TNT broadcast crew. I mean, in the studio, the Anson Carter walked out and sat with them for a while, and Lundqvist did the same, and then they had Rick Tocchet on the screen, and
Oh,
they
that's cool.
had Brady Kachuk on the screen.
Mm.
And then because Matthew Kachuk was playing in the game,
Mm-hmm.
and then they had Walt Kachuk, the Kachuk's father, on, and oh, they had
So would you
yeah.
watch that would you watch a game through that way again?
Um, yeah, probably not a Bruins game though, 'cause
Yeah,
it was kind of
distracting.
distracting.
Right.
You were watching them more, and
Well, how do you feel about how Nesson's been like they interviewed Bergeron the other night, like when they have people up in the booth?
I I don't know. It's I don't know. I think it takes away from it. It it's one thing if you've got a guest there and they're doing play by play or something, but if they're just talking to them, and always seems like something big happens on the ice while they're in the
Always.
middle of a conversation, and it's like, oh yeah, so
Yeah. I don't know. I kind of like it. I mean,
yeah,
I feel like you don't necessarily need to play by play all the time. If you're watching the game, I don't need to be told that the
true,
puck was passed to McAvoy over to who so and so. Like,
right, right,
it's like
right,
listening to a podcast while watching a hockey game. I guess like interviewing Bergeron or
true.
whatever. Like I thought was cool. There's also I found it funny when they were talking to was Ray Bork, I think. He like had just started telling a story when they were supposed to cut the commercial break, so he's like kept it on him.
Oh,
Oh,
Like, and then so they must have like delayed the. I think they ended up having like a 30-second commercial break or whatever. Like once he was done telling the story, and they must have caught up later. But like stuff like that, I thought was funny. But I don't mind it.
yeah, I don't mind it, but yeah.
Yeah. Um. Oh, and then Gensel's also out with injury for 4 weeks, which is tough because he was probably the best trade deadline potential acquisition for a team. So
Yeah.
this injury will go beyond that, so it'll make things interesting. I mean, a team can still claim him, but maybe that'll change the price
Yeah,
for him.
it sounds like they're still saying that he's on the table, and like maybe they'll have to, like it sounds like a third party would probably have to be involved, and they could probably get a decent amount of draft capital or a decent player, in order to take on some of that money. So I think it might still happen. I don't know for sure, but yeah, it's a bit of a risk, with coming off the injury, and you don't know how long you're gonna have him for, but. I don't know. I think with how, like, I don't know how strong of a UFA market we have this year. If there's a good fit, and it might still happen, especially if
Yeah.
the Penguins continue to be mediocre. Like, is Dubas gonna do the right thing and like realize that the team's not gonna get a better enough with a couple of like trade deadline acquisitions to actually push for a playoff spot and for a real chance at the cup? Like, yeah, probably not. So
No, I don't think they're, and especially the game that was playing on TNT Wednesday night, they lost to Florida 5-2,
Mm.
and they can't score on the power play,
yeah, their power
and they
play's
have
been
all
awful.
that talent.
It's funny because like Edmonton had the issue at one point too, where their power play was terrible. Like there's teams that like you have all this talent and you just like can't score in the power play.
Yeah,
Crosby's going to be a UFA at the end of 2025. He could. It'll be interesting. I
Yeah,
don't know. I mean, I think their window's definitely closed. I don't know what they
yeah.
do going forward,
Maybe
but
Sunday night they were retiring Yaga's number.
about
Maybe
time.
they can get him to play the rest of the season before they put it up there.
yeah.
Yeah, if he could just hold off a little bit before we retire this number, we just
Right.
gotta. Well, if that retired player for whatever reason decided to come back and play, I guess they could
Pull the
still use
banner
the number.
down.
Well, it's like
Yeah,
we're honoring you even though you're playing right now. It's like, yeah,
Yeah.
you're the only one I'd say who would still be eligible to wear that retired number.
Yeah.
right, right.
It's funny because like
It would
obviously
never
he
happen.
can't. Yager can't get put into the Hall of Fame yet because he's still playing, but the Penguins are like, all right, we're sick of waiting. We'll just retire his number now. We don't care.
Yeah, screw it. It's our own
For
choice.
the Bruins trade deadline, Dad, what would you like them to do? Obviously, you can't go all in again this year.
No, I don't know what they're. Well, yeah, I mean, they still have the same needs as a center, and I don't know who's available now that Lindholm's gone.
Yeah, I keep forgetting his name. There's like another center, that keeps coming up. He's like obviously not as good as Lindholm, but I want to say like Mike Hoffman, the center. I don't know. I forget who it
I
is,
don't
but
know.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I don't think you really have the assets or the cap to like get a center. So maybe just get like a winger or like a defender. But like I don't know how much that helps you. I think we're kind of okay on defense. So maybe like a winger, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think they could give up a defenseman like Grizzlick or something to get. I don't know how much you'd get from him though, because I think
Oh.
he's a UFA too. But
Well, this says he's a goalie, but Adam Henrique is the
Oh,
big or the big center that's left, I guess.
yeah. Definitely been some
Yeah,
poking
the
around on him.
hockeywriters.com, they have him listed as a goalie. Oop.
That is a mistake.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't know. But I guess we'll see.
I feel like they'll make one or
Oh,
two
Kessel?
like small moves. Kessel, yeah,
Come
he's
back.
playing.
comes back.
He's playing for Vancouver, isn't he?
he was working out with their AHL affiliate Abbotsford, and I think people were saying he was looking pretty gassed out there. So he's probably
But
going to
he
be
always looks.
a bit of a conditioning
Yeah.
stint.
He always looks exhausted.
We'll see if he actually gets into any games this year. I mean,
Mm,
I don't know. You don't want to mess with things too much, and I'm sure they don't care about the Iron Man streak at this point. So it's just like
right.
Well, it's
whatever
over,
if you
right?
can use him. Well, it doesn't factor into the playoffs. So he played like all the regular season games with Vegas.
Oh, okay. So it's still active.
I'm pretty sure. I don't remember. I don't think we scratched him in the regular season. So technically, it's still active. Yeah.
I didn't know that. That was over. Yeah. Oh yeah, it's active. Look at that. I guess this is kind of big news. Maybe we should have covered it sooner than an hour and a half into the podcast. But former Clarkson Golden Knight Jarmo Kekalainen got
Oh yeah.
booted
Yeah.
out of Columbus as GM.
After
John Davidson taking over.
he was there for
I
a
mean,
while.
it's still early, but like I was listening to the 32 Thoughts podcast today, and they were mentioning some names that I don't remember any of them, but like a couple people that are in potential roles to fill in, like take over the job officially. But again, it's so early that we don't really know yet. But he was there for like 11 years, which is a long time
Yeah.
for a GM.
Yeah. He got hired in like 2011. So yeah, he was one of the longest tenured GMs in the league at that, for a while.
Yeah, I think it was 2013 because I actually just looked. There was like a Clarkson University article when he got hired.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
I think it was February 2013 is the article. But
yeah, so
I mean,
that's
long
significant.
time for sure. I think what I heard was like Columbus had made the playoffs 8 or 9 times, and he was there for like 7 or 8 of them. So like he did a good job, but it seems like it was time.
Yeah, I think a lot of people thought that last year was his last chance to show some real improvement, and when like after the season ended, a lot of people thought that was going to be it for him, and then they just said, "All right, yeah, we'll give you one more chance with Fantilli here."
And there was the whole coaching fiasco at the start of the year.
Yeah, that was a great start. Having
Right.
frickin' Babcock flounder, and so that was tough. But yeah, he put out a little message saying of how grateful he was for the organization and the city accepting him. And I think he'll always have a special place for Columbus. So.
Oh yeah.
Pretty peaceful transition, I guess, as far as being fired goes. I kind of feel like the writing was on the wall. So we'll see.
Right.
I think it's a good step for Columbus, and hopefully trying to improve next year and start to be serious about being contenders again for at least a playoff spot. We'll see how they develop. They had so many injuries this year, so this year's pretty much been a wash. Especially with Fantilli now being out, it's like there's not a whole lot to really be watching for right now. And we had reported on this, and I saw it, and I thought that it was accurate. But so Couturier for the Flyers was just named the captain. I had thought that Konechny had been named captain, and I didn't see anything from like the Flyers, which I thought was strange, but I wasn't sure, so I threw it out there, but that wasn't the case. He's one of the alternate captains now, but yeah, Couturier has been announced, and I think that was probably one of the best, the best picks. It was probably either him or Konechny because they've both been there the longest.
What, you saw some random guy's tweet and just ran with it?
I thought I saw it from a legitimate source, but I guess I must have made a mistake.
That's funny. Well, there you
Is
go.
there any
Hopefully
team-
people didn't only listen to last episode, not this one.
is there any team now that doesn't have a captain?
Yeah, there's still some.
Do the Blackhawks have a captain?
They don't have one. Arizona doesn't have one.
The Blackhawks are just waiting for Bedard.
Anaheim, I believe, doesn't have one either.
Okay.
There's a few others. Calgary has a captain now. Seattle, I want to say, doesn't have one either. There's a couple others. Yeah, it's a little more common than you would think. Well, we did
Yeah.
have a couple named this year.
What else?
Marchand and Pietrangelo both played their 1,000th games this year, pretty recently.
Oh, I heard
that
that
was
makes
nice.
like 9 this season that have hit their 1,000 game mark, and I think by the end of the year, without any injuries, it's gonna be like 15 players this year, which seems like an
Really?
absurdly high number.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Hmm.
They're handing them out these days.
Yeah, you get 1,000 games. You get 1,000 games. Yeah, so both representatives from both of our teams, and the first Vegas player to hit 1,000 career games. Obviously, he didn't play all of them with Vegas.
Right.
Mostly St. Louis, but he's been here. I think this is his 4th season with the team, so that was pretty cool, and obviously a little bit more special with winning the cup here as well. So, always fun to see those, and Vegas hands out their first. Well, normally it's the silver stick, but of course for Vegas it was the gold stick. So that was pretty fun.
We didn't talk about this last week. I guess it was 10 days ago. I forget when we recorded last, but the Brendan Dillon hit on Noel Achari. I know we
Yeah.
talked about in the group chat. I don't know if
I
you
feel like
saw
I don't
that
remember
stat or...
I don't remember a ton about the hit at this
Well, that
point.
was...
I don't either.
We're recording on Friday, and we recorded on
Yeah, it was a
what
while
it?
ago. Well, basically,
Monday
I just put
last
the
week,
link
so
in there, but basically, he was kind of like Achari was going up the boards, and kind of Dylan was just standing there, and kind of just like put his arm up to like brace, and Achari kind of just like skated his head into his elbow.
Wow.
So I mean, he still led with his elbow, but it was like a weird one because it kind of just skated into the hit. Like Dylan didn't really move, but he did lift his elbow. So it was, I don't know, kind of a weird one, but it's not like anything we need to go too in depth on.
It's just another, suspension inconsistency sort of thing with Department of Player Safety. So it's like, yeah, we've been
and then
down
you
this road
mentioned
before.
this missed trip, which I haven't seen.
Yeah, that was a little while ago. I just remember watching that game, and I thought there was a pretty blatant trip late in one of the Oilers games on Draisaitl that didn't get called.
I can't find a link, but I'll believe you. I'll trust you.
I threw it on there when we didn't have a lot of topics, because it's like you never really know how many news items we're going to get before the recording.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So I don't know if you heard about this, Dad, where like the Caps were potentially going to move to Alexandria, like at a new
I did
arena.
not.
They were, because originally, well, they talked about moving, and then Washington was like, "We'll fund you to stay here. We'll give you money or whatever." This whole thing, and then I think what happened is I don't know, whoever makes these decisions in the house or whatever, the higher ups, some of them like didn't get reelected, and the new people like, we're not doing that, and that's basically now it's basically dead. So the Caps are not moving.
yeah,
We don't think, and that's basically that.
which
I mean, Alexandria is right next to DC, isn't it? It's not
Right,
like
but apparently it's still like a 40-minute train ride. Like it's like, or if
uh,
you're driving like with the traffic there, it just like it is a bigger difference than like a mile or two would seem. Just
like
'cause
yeah, it's like
Okay.
I think it's like 6 miles, but yeah, it's still quite a ways.
right.
And different state. But yeah, I think we were mentioning it privately that just it didn't seem like it was really going to be in the best interest of fans or even of the team to move, and like even people that live near Alexandria were like, why the hell would you put a team here? Like what are you going to do before or after the games in this area? Like yeah, just have it in DC. You got plenty of bars and restaurants and things. Like
Right.
it is so much more conducive to having an NHL atmosphere than like this smaller area in Virginia. Like it makes a difference. So I think it was probably for the best, and we'll see if DC is still offering that $500 million for renovations now. It's like, yeah, about that $500 million.
Right.
It's more like
Right.
200, and
Yeah.
because like, what are you gonna do? So we'll see if they do end up getting those arena upgrades and how much the Capitals actually have to pay for it, which I think that they should. It's always so frustrating when you have these new arenas going in and it's funded most, like, in part by the taxpayers or mostly by the taxpayers. It's like the billionaires who own the teams are the ones that are going to be reaping the benefits from this move the most, so they should be the ones paying for it.
The other Caps thing, you know that Ovi has scored a goal in his last 5 games?
Which he hasn't done for like 5 years.
No, he was playing terrible. He was playing terrible this year.
Yeah.
Well, because he had. So let me subtract the last 5 games. He had, for his streak, he had 9 goals in 44 games. Now he has 14 in 49.
Still,
So, yeah, he's on pace for like the lowest goals by far.
Yeah.
In a season, but yeah.
I'm thinking he's not going to break Gretzky's record now. But
yeah, who knows? Maybe he'll just score a goal a game for the rest of the season. You never know with that guy.
Yeah, apparently not. We were talking about in the preseason before when we mentioned the Ovi's record. We're like, yeah, he can just sometimes like turn it on at the end of the year, go on streaks. I think even Dean mentioned it. Like, yeah, you never really know if he just starts potting them on the power play or whatever. So it's still in limbo. I think he, at the rate he's like at right now, if he scores like 25 goals or so for the next 2 years of his contract, he should be able to break it. So I don't know. We'll see how at the end of the year things look. We're gonna have a much better picture then.
Do playoff goals count, right?
I don't think so.
I don't think
No.
so.
I think it's just regular season.
Well,
So
not
is
that that might not
Not that
add
they're
too
going to
many at
make
this
the
point.
playoffs this year.
Yeah, but yeah, I think it's just the record. I think is the regular season goals. But he can still keep scooping up those empty net goals.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Got one against the Bruins, I think.
Womp womp.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the last bit of news that just came out today is the domestic violence charges against Lucic are getting dropped. His wife decided to invoke marital privilege, so it basically made it impossible for the case to go any further because there's no way for them to get any of the, like, they can't get like the 911 call information or like any other evidence. So, but the Bruins came out and said that they're not, like, he's still on leave of absence for the rest of the year, and it's only a 1-year contract, so who knows what his future holds. But even before the Bruins announced it, I'm like, yeah, this doesn't mean, like, he's still not coming back this season.
No.
Yeah. Even if the charges were dropped, like, pretty sure the report was still true. And it's just like, there's clearly an issue there. He's had issues with alcohol in the past. And I think he had some domestic violence charge. I don't know if it went through last time around, but there's clearly some struggles there. So I think he's going to take, hopefully, the rest of the season here to figure that stuff out and try to earn a contract next year.
Yeah, I think I talked about this on the pod before about teams deciding to balance the helpfulness a player will bring versus the PR, the negative PR they'll bring, and seeing it, like, weighing the pros and cons. And I mean, however old Lucic is, it's like any negative PR is probably not worth it.
Right. Of course, what if he decides to sue the Bruins? What's Corey Perry doing with the?
Oh yeah, the grievance with the NHLPA.
Yeah.
Like a wrongful termination. Well, I don't know if they didn't terminate his contract. Like, they're still paying him. So
they are still paying him his salary, so that hurts that they're paying him to not play. But I think that's the best. That's the best option for them, unfortunately.
Yeah.
'Cause, yeah, you don't want to get into if they do try to terminate the NHLPA would definitely be on that. There were no charges, so like how can you rightfully terminate the contract? So yeah, this is probably the best option. So
And
we'll
finally,
see.
before the game, we got a voicemail to play.
Yeah.
And I don't know if the person that called in knows that I can see like it's linked to my phone, so like I get the contacts. But first off, it was a pleasant surprise because it was someone who called in that I didn't know. But they referred to themselves as Mark, so we're gonna refer to them as Mark. But I can talk to you, Brendan, after and mention who it is.
Oh, I know who it is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Did you mention the pod to him? Because I didn't know. Okay, I was like,
Yeah.
where? Like, I didn't know he was even listening. So, shout out to Mark.
Shout outs to you, Mark.
All right. Hopefully, you guys can hear this. Here we go.
Hey guys, Mark calling here. My friends call me Marky, Mark Syllabeer. And I was just calling in. Love the show. I wanted to ask you guys a couple questions. Bread, from your perspective, what kind of bread would you be and why? Would love to hear that. And also, I guess while you guys are at it, if you could debate what Sidney Crosby's favorite sandwich would be and why, it is an answer on Google. Don't Google it. Answer it first, then look it up. Love to hear your thoughts. Love the show. Thanks. Bye.
All right. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Marky, Mr. Schillebeer.
Yes. I did not look it up yet, but we can start with what type of bread would be.
Well, one of my.
Have you thought about this?
I hadn't before, but one of my favorites, which I don't eat all the time, but I feel like it's a bit underrated in like the general bread world, is like potato bread, with how like thick it is.
Some good bread.
It's got good flavor.
Yeah.
It's not the best for you, definitely not. But it makes me the happiest, I'd say, out of most of the common breads. So that's the one I would vote for sure.
I was gonna just say.
We were into potato rolls for a while
Oh
there.
yeah, those are good too. Those are definitely good.
I was originally just gonna say white bread, but that's a boring answer. So I'm gonna go with the like cinnamon swirl bread.
Oh,
Ooh.
that stuff is good, especially if it doesn't have the raisins.
Yes, agreed. Just the cinnamon.
Yeah, that's all we really want. We just want the cinnamon. Get some
I'd go
butter
with
on it.
sourdough.
Sourdough is a good pick too. That would probably would have been my second pick. It's a
All right,
classic.
what do you guys think Sidney Crosby's favorite sandwich is? I have an idea. I'll just go ahead and say I feel like he's just a straightforward guy. I'm just gonna say peanut butter jelly sandwich. Can't go wrong with the most basic sandwich.
That would be my guess too, but I think that it might be too easy.
I feel like
easy.
I
I
feel
don't
like
know.
it's gotta have something with like luncheon meat, like a ham and cheese or a.
I was gonna say something weird that like pickles in it because he like swears that it's like good for his like electrolytes or
the
something.
pickle juice.
Yeah.
It's like ham, cheese, pickle on bread, something like that.
I'm gonna look it up. Any other guesses?
Smoked meat.
Yeah, get some
Smoked meat.
Get something smoked in there.
Let's go. I was right.
Oh.
At roughly 5 p.m. prior to a game, Sidney Crosby scarfs down his mandatory PB&J.
Very nice.
That, I kind of, like, I would have thought that would be a little bit, like, just because peanut butter is, like, yeah, it has some protein, but, like, maybe the fat content would steer some, like, athletes away, but, you see Kuzmenko, like, drinking soda and eating a banana on the bench, and Ovi drinks soda and stuff too, so it's like they don't always necessarily have the best eating habits.
Right.
And it's not like peanut butter is terrible for you or anything, but
yeah,
I'm sure there's better options. But I got that one wrong, so good on you, Dean. And well,
it just seemed like the obvious answer.
Steve was thinking that too.
Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and hear what you have for this game.
Okay, so we'll see if you guys want it, if you're into it or not. But the thought was, I have two seasons here of recent memory, and basically all you guys have to do is name like as many Bruins players that played for the team that year.
Okay.
So it
Depends on the
wouldn't be
seasons,
like a
but-
back and forth where like you would alternate. It would have to be like you
Oh,
guys.
it's a team? It's a co-op?
Well, no, it would be like you guys each create your own separate lists to like
And
compare at the
see.
end. Like we give you like I
I
give you a
see.
time frame. We'd cut the time, and then we'd show you. Yeah, or you guys would reveal the list at the end.
We can give it a try.
So the two teams that I have here are to give Dean a chance. They're both relatively close. I figured.
Yep.
So I had the 14-15 season and this season. So 23-24.
14-15 is gonna be tough because like 15-16 was when I started watching every game.
Ah,
but-
okay. So I thought it was 14-15. So I mean, we can do 15-16 if you think that's gonna be.
Yeah, let's bump it a year.
Okay.
Not that that'll help that much, but.
Let me do that then.
And what happens if we guess someone that's wrong? Do we have to is it the same thing where I'll go with my most confident ones first and like?
Yeah, I think you will be penalized for incorrect
Or
names.
like I just shouldn't put them on the list at all if I'm not.
If you're not 100%, you'd probably be better off not listing them. Yeah.
Because there's some like fourth liners that I'm like I don't know what year.
Yeah.
All right, well, we'll start with what'd you say, the 1920 or 1819? Which one?
This year. Didn't you say this year?
Yeah, I said
this year.
15.
Oh, okay.
So we'll do 15-16 and then 23-24. So this year, yeah.
All right. We'll start with 23-24.
Yeah.
And they just played one NHL game.
Yeah, as long as they played one game with the
All right.
Bruins this year.
Patrice Bergeron.
Uh-oh. I don't know. How do you want to do, like 2.5 minutes or 3 minutes?
I don't know. We can do three minutes, and if we both look like we're done, then I don't
Yeah.
know.
So I guess I don't
I'm
know.
writing,
Dean,
I'm
you have
writing mine down.
yeah. Do you have a
This
writing?
will be
at the
really
end?
exciting content. Maybe we'll we'll just skip ahead.
I think so. Yeah.
But- All right, I'm going for it.
All right. So I guess I got the clock up. So start now. 3.
Now I'm just thinking of I'm just going through
1.
numbers.
That's
Oh, well.
time.
I did horrible.
Well, we'll see.
I don't know why. I couldn't.
It's hard. I've had we've done other quizzes or whatever, and like we've done it where you go back and forth naming
Oh yeah,
players.
yeah. I saw that. Yeah.
And it's hard when you're under pressure.
Yeah, it is.
It is.
I guess
How do you
so. I
wanna do
guess
this?
we'll have
When you were doing the-
Steve read his list first. And sounds like he might not have as many, but we'll see.
Should I try to mark next to mine? I should probably put them in a.
Yeah,
list
I mean, we're
form.
not doing it boggle rules or anything where if you
I
both have it, you
cross them out.
cross them out. We won't do it like that.
I only wrote down 15 names, so I'm sure Dean has me beat.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. I got 20.
Okay, but you might have the leg up for 15-16. So,
That's
yeah,
true.
just read them off.
Wait,
Or, well, yeah, go ahead.
Marchand, Zaka, Pasternak, Coyle, Geeky, Patras, Brusque, Heinen, Loco, Swayman, Elmark, McAvoy, Carlo, Forsberg, Lindholm, Grizzlick, and that's all I got.
What? There was one. Did you say Forsberg or Forbert?
Oh, I meant Forbird.
Oh,
I
okay.
wrote down Forbird. I said Forsberg. I couldn't read my.
Well, you had, Geeky and Lauco, I forgot.
So I
But
think
you
we
had
were.
other people. You had
I think you were good.
I did
All the
have
ones
other
that
ones.
you had were players from this year. So yeah, 15. That's pretty good.
So I had Patra, Coyle, Marchand, Zaka, Pasta, DeBrusque, Lucic, who we just talked about,
oh
Steen, Boquist, Beecher,
Yep.
Van Riemsdyk, Heinen, and then when you said 3 games, I'm like, oh, Wotherspoon, but he's played more than 3,
Waterspoon.
I
yeah.
think.
Yeah, he has.
Maybe he's played more than 3.
He's played
Oh,
23.
I also forgot. I just thought of I'm blanking on his name, Louisiana boy. Um,
The
Uh,
defenseman.
but
Lysel
I
or
can't
not
think of his name.
Lysel.
Oh, Liesel is another one I didn't put. Um, why am I
Lascelles
blanking on
didn't
his
play, did
Lori.
he?
Lori. Oh yeah, Liesel, did he play this year?
I
Probably
don't think
not.
so.
No, I don't think so.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, so Laura I forgot. McAvoy, Carlo, Lindholm, Grizz, Forbort, Sway, Allmark.
Yeah.
Brandon Bussey.
I was trying to think of like, did any other goalies play? I was like,
I don't think I don't
I don't
have
know.
any other goalies.
Brandon Bussey was called up.
Hmm.
Did he play?
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
he was backup when Allmark was hurt.
Yeah, I mean, you guys pretty much like I feel like there wasn't anyone super big that you guys missed. Did either of you say Hampus Lindholm?
I did.
I did.
A couple other Shattenkirk,
Oh,
Grizzly.
well, I had Grizz.
I
Chad, yeah, I
agree.
Yeah,
forgot.
you had Grizz.
I didn't
Ian
have.
Mitchell,
Um,
Patrick Brown.
yeah.
And then there's like Merkulov, who played like looks like
Oh,
4
yeah.
games.
Oh, and that
Yeah.
guy who's just been the new guy, 90 something. He just played the last few games.
Anthony Richard, maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Richard.
He's the one who's played the least amount of games. He only played 3.
Yeah, he just came up.
Yeah. So, I think that was pretty much everybody. You guys did pretty good.
I'm ready to try the
So
15,
yeah, I think
16.
15-16 is gonna be the interesting one.
There's some names I might just go out and just try the crazy names just to see.
Yeah, I mean, you might have to, depending on how seasoned your dad is. So,
All right. Oh, I'm ready to just
if
get.
you
I have
guys,
all these names in my head. I'm ready to just go
yeah,
for it.
all right.
Yeah.
So
All right,
we'll
let's
get
do
you
it.
started now.
All right.
15-16. We'll call it there. So that's the
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, and I'm just gonna write down one that I'm not gonna say, but I'm gonna ask after if he was still there. But I don't think so.
okay.
All right.
Let's hear it.
Bergeron,
Yes.
Krejci,
David Krejci. Yes.
Chara,
Captain
Seidenberg, defensive pair.
Seidenberg. Okay. I believe so. Yes. Dennis.
You still there?
McQuaid.
Yep. Adam McQuaid.
Oh, good one.
Can't forget Quader.
Legend.
Tuukka Rask, Tim Thomas. Was Tim Thomas still there, or that blank?
No on the Tim Thomas.
Oof.
Oh, I had him too.
So you had 5.
Marchand,
Yep.
Torrey Krug,
Yep.
Pasta.
Yes. Pasta.
Okay, that was where I'm like, I think he like, cause he was almost at like he's in the franchise points records now. Like he's been there longer than I think.
Yeah.
All right, and then these two are my separate category of shots in the dark. Gregory Campbell.
I think not. Yeah. No Campbell.
I had him.
Soderberg.
Soderberg.
Oh, that's a no.
No. All right, that's all I got. Oh, and the other one, well, I'll wait, but I'm pretty sure he was long gone, but I'll wait for my dad to go.
Okay. So Dean with 6
All right.
total on that one after the negatives.
That's subtracting 2.
Yeah.
All right. So I had Bergeron, Krejci, Pasta, Marchand, Chara, Rask, Seidenberg.
Yep.
I also had Thomas and Campbell because I couldn't remember if Thomas was there or not. Who was the other goalie?
The other goalie was
Oh don't say it. It was after Halak or before Halak.
before Halak, yeah.
Um,
Before Subban.
this was for a
Oh.
while. We had Rask and like crappy backups.
He came from the Hurricanes.
This was way before Dan Vladar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Swedish guy.
Mm. Jeez.
Short guy, wasn't it?
Not Hudobin.
Not Hudobin.
Hudobin.
This guy was 6'4".
Oh, it wasn't Hudobin.
Just tell us.
Jonas Gustafsson.
I never gotten that.
I didn't know him either.
How many games did he play? Because that was probably back when Rask played like 60 games.
Yeah. He got into. Oh, they don't have why don't they have the? Oh, there we go. He played in 21 games.
There you go, 61 for Rask.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. So those are the ones that we both had, and then. Oh, did I say Seidenberg?
Yeah.
You did.
Okay. Was Ferentz still on the team?
Oh, that's a good one.
No.
Never mind, it's a
Ooh.
terrible one. You did this thing with me when I said Campbell, like, ooh, that's a good one. Or when I said Soderberg, yeah, you're like, ooh.
How about Carlo?
Carlo was not there either.
Nice.
Oh,
I was
jeez.
debating him. Don't blur
Boychuk.
together. Oh, Boychuk.
Boychuk, no.
What?
No. Wow. Was Lucic still on the team?
Lucic
No,
was
he was in
not
LA.
there. Did you have him, or were you just asking?
I had him.
Okay.
And then my last one was Chris Kelly.
Chris Kelly was there, yeah.
There you go. Well, you had more minuses, but you also had more pluses than me. The one I was going to ask that I think was long gone is Mark Recchi, because he was on the 2011 team, but I think he was
He retired.
Yeah, he was gone.
He got the cup and retired.
Yeah. I know that because I just saw they retired his number in Philadelphia, and he
Right.
played against the Bruins that night. I mean,
Oh yeah,
Philly
because
played against the
I
Bruins.
remember seeing that, and it's funny because I think of Recchi as a Bruins player, even though he played way longer for the Flyers, just because like at the time I didn't realize he was like a rental for the Bruins basically.
Yeah.
Like I was like, oh, Recchi won with the Bruins. He was like always there.
So I'll give you a couple other names that I thought were notable. Noel Achari.
Oh.
Wow.
Brett
Was Corrali there?
Who?
Corrali or no, not yet.
No, not Corrali.
Because there was that Chari Wagner Corrali line for a while.
Oh yeah. I remember
Whack
that.
line.
Let's see. Louis Erickson was there. Jimmy Hayes. Rest in peace. We've got
how about
both the Millers, Colin and Kevin Miller.
Oh.
Riley?
Who? Riley Smith? That one?
Riley Smith.
No, he was there in 14-15, I believe. Frank Vetrano, Ryan Spooner, Zach Ronaldo, to name a couple other ones, Maxime Talbot. So, yeah, definitely a different era of Bruins.
A blast from the past.
Was Ryan Donato wasn't on the team?
He wasn't there yet.
No.
I think he.
I remember watching.
I want to say
he was
16,
he was playing
17.
in college, when I was still at Clarkson. I remember watching him play because he was on Harvard or something.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, that was fun.
So that leaves Dean with the over. If you go by the overall totals, we got 25 for Dean, and I believe it was 14 for Steve. After he only got with the negatives, he only got 2 on the last round, unfortunately. But it's tough. It's tough to pinpoint those exact seasons. Like the eras start to blend together.
Yeah, it was a decade ago. You're trying to think of one year in the last. Yeah,
especially if it wasn't like a super remarkable. It's not like they won the cup that year.
Right.
Or, I mean, they went to the finals, but or sorry, that was the previous year. Yeah, so it's like it doesn't stick out as much.
I'd probably do better with the 69-70 Bruins than they did.
Yeah, I think you'd have Dean's number on that one.
Mm-hmm. I would just be guessing. I think Bobby Orr was playing around that time.
Yeah. It's like, oh man, how many names do I even have from that era? Yeah, I would.
Like, I don't know if I'm naming someone from the 70s or the 30s at that point.
Yeah.
Eddie Shore, old-time hockey.
Yeah.
Well, that was a blast. Thanks for indulging me there, folks. It was it was great to have Steve on, and
thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks
for coming on. You're welcome anytime.
Okay.
Definitely. We're of course all pushing for the Bruins too, so that worked out very nicely.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. All right.
All right. Well, we'll see everyone later.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Cheers. That's a problem for the editor to fix.
Yeah, I'll have to do it later.
Yeah, we'll let the editor deal with it.